What's up, everybody? How's it going? In this video, we're going to be talking about Twitter, and more specifically, whether or not the company is going to survive after having laid off so much of its staff. According to recent articles, Twitter had about 7,500 employees when Elon Musk took over, and since then, they've laid off, fired, or just generally lost over 5,000 employees. That's over 2/3 of its staff, including a bunch of engineers, a bunch of engineering-related roles, and so it begs the question, is the company going to be okay? Are a bunch of its services going to just break down? Is it going to stop shipping features? That's what we're going to look at in this video. Now, one thing that I want to make clear is that this video is not going to address the way in which these layoffs were conducted. This is not about how Elon Musk operates, and I want to make it clear that layoffs suck. If you've been laid off, it's really terrible. I really feel for you. Just try to remember that whenever a door closes, another one opens, so try to keep your chin high and just look at the future. On that note, we're going to be running a brief flash sale on my company Algo Expert for the next few days, starting on the day that this video is posted. You'll be able to buy all of our technical interview prep products for the price of one, and hopefully, if you've been laid off or if you're just kind of going through this recession right now, I know times are tough, hopefully it can help you out. Now let's get back to the question at hand. Will Twitter survive this loss of staff? And the answer is a resounding yes. Twitter will survive. In fact, I think Twitter will thrive because of this layoff. I think this layoff was a very, very, very much needed move for Twitter, and it's a very, very much needed move for a lot of other tech companies out there. I think that this huge reduction in staff is actually going to boost productivity at Twitter. It's going to make Twitter ship a lot more features a lot faster, and over the long term, it'll help Twitter make more money and be a much more successful business. Why is that the case? Because of a simple concept that I've talked about multiple times on this channel called Brooks' Law. Brooks' Law basically states that when you've got a software engineering project, and by the way, I don't think it only applies to engineering, I think it applies to all disciplines, but when you've got an engineering project, especially one with a deadline, the more software engineers you add on that project to work on that project, the more you will actually delay when that project gets completed, which is very counterintuitive if you think about it, because why would more software engineers, more people working on that project delay it? More broadly, why would more workers working at a company make that company less productive and less successful? Well, it's actually very simple, because more people working at a company, and especially more engineers, adds a lot of friction. Friction in the onboarding costs, because you have to train people, you have to impart internal knowledge on people, and this takes time, effort, resources. Friction in the sense that you suddenly need to start adding a lot of management. As an organization grows, or as multiple inner organizations grow, you naturally need to add a layer of middle management to manage all these organizations, all the people in these organizations. And oftentimes, the people who become managers should have never been managers in the first place. They're just not good at it. And even if they are good at it, the point is you're suddenly kind of artificially having to spend effort, time, resources on something that wouldn't be needed if you had a smaller organization. You also have friction in the sense that suddenly you have a bunch of people who naturally all want to do very well, all want to grow in their careers, and especially at big tech companies, how do you grow in your career? By getting promoted. And how do you get promoted? By working on impactful stuff, doing stuff that's actually useful to the business. But the thing is that you can't have 1,000 engineers working on the same most impactful project that a company has. So you start to have some internal competition, and once that competition subsides, you get some people who naturally start to look for projects that will artificially make them have impact. So they try to basically create impact where there is no impact to be had. They work on projects or features that are completely tangential to the company's primary focus, and you end up with companies like Uber, not to diss on Uber, but from the things that I've heard at Uber that happened at Uber, where you had a bunch of teams that were working on, for example, internal engineering tools, trying to reinvent Docker or reinvent new front-end frameworks, and it's like, Guys, you don't even have a profitable company. Your company has never turned a profit. What are we doing here? You have way too many engineers. You don't need to be working on this. You need to be working on your core ride sharing or your core Uber Eats business. And this is not a problem that is unique to Uber or unique to Twitter. Is it absolutely mind-boggling to think that Twitter had 7,500 employees working on a CRUD app? Yes. But it's also mind-boggling to think that a company like DocuSign, not to diss on DocuSign, again, I'm not dissing on particular companies, I love DocuSign, great product, but as of last September, they had, I think, 7,000 employees, over 7,000 employees before they did their 9% layoffs or something. 7,000 employees working on DocuSign. Doing what? Doing what? This is just a gross misallocation of resources. All these companies hiring, I guess because hiring means growth. If you can't grow in revenue or in profit, you grow in headcount, but it just doesn't make sense. And now we are finally seeing a bunch of tech companies kind of have to deal with the ramifications of this overhiring. They have to do layoffs, and you have a company like Twitter who's doing it in a very sort of ostentatious way. But I do think that they will be better for it. Ultimately, as the old saying goes, 2 or 3 highly motivated, highly talented A players will always outperform 10 semi-talented, semi-motivated B players who will also always outperform 30 or 100 unmotivated and untalented C players. Now, I will say, I realize that getting that small group of really motivated, really talented A players is not an easy task. And sometimes it's such a hard task that companies are forced to start hiring a lot to try to kind of get lucky and find the golden needles in the haystacks when they're hiring. So I'm not saying that this is super easy to do, but regardless, you have to try to do that. Otherwise, you end up overhiring and then having to do layoffs, which are much needed. And in the case of Twitter, I think it was the right decision. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Do you disagree with me? If you do, I'm always down to have a conversation. I always like to hear differing opinions. Don't forget to smash the like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Follow me on LinkedIn and Twitter if you enjoy short form written content. Instagram if you like pictures, and I will see you in the next video.